brilliant idea that no one else can see. Let's hear it.
Hi there guys, how are you doing today? Welcome back to my channel called Blast and the Past, and this time around I have something special. Actually no, although you can see Space Jam on the screen there, it won't be a review of Space Jam. It will be a review of from 2023 about Michael Jordan, but not only about that. And it's an Amazon Prime original film.
People don't know what the hell a Nike is.
What's a Converse?
NBA All-Star
It was supposed to have never been released globally at the cinemas, but eventually it got a theatrical release, and even in Poland it was, or maybe it still is, available at the time of recording of this video. Anyhow, so I was lucky enough to have had access to it when it premiered on the platform, and I have to admit that it blew me away completely. I don't remember the last time when I was so hyped in a positive way about the film.
I can tell them the one thing the other companies can't compete with. Our basketball division is terrible. I do not love it.
I don't remember the last time I was so full of energy, energized, invigorated, in high spirits after watching a film, and it's a biopic. So of course, some of the things they were changed for the benefit of the audience to make the story maybe even more interesting, more gripping. But that's not the point, because this is typical of biopics generally in Hollywood. Some adjustments just need to be made in order to make the story more interesting and more gripping and more captivating and more fascinating. And this is exactly the point with directed by Ben Affleck, and starring Ben Affleck in a minor role, and Matt Damon as a scout who finds Jordan and who wants to recruit him for the campaign for Nike.
I need the greatest basketball shoe that's ever been made.
Who's the player?
Michael Jordan.
But don't let me get ahead of myself. So I just put Space Jam there because this is Michael Jordan's most famous film, I think. Maybe not his only role, because maybe he had some smaller parts, but in this case, so I remember how great it was.
When the world's greatest athlete, Michael Jordan, teams up with the world's best-loved cartoon character, Bugs Bunny, you won't believe your eyes.
I saw it at the cinema when I was a kid, so you can imagine how great it was and how big Michael Jordan was at that time. Anyhow, so let me talk a little bit about the plot and then we'll carry on. So very briefly and to the point, it's about a scout who works for Nike, and he's more or less successful. Sometimes he has his ups and downs like everybody in this profession, but he has his sights set on Michael Jordan, an upcoming star, an upcoming talent, and he sees something in that young man that nobody else sees.
You're Michael Jordan, and your story is gonna make us want to fly.
He notices that Michael Jordan is already a great star and he will be the king of the world in terms of basketball. So he wants to sign with him the contract to promote Nike, his company, whose Ben Affleck's character is the CEO. But the competition on the market is very fierce because there is Adidas and Converse, both fighting for the same young man. And
1984 has been a tough year. Our sales are down, our growth
Matt
is down.
Damon's character is convinced that this is the make it or break it deal. So he is willing to put everything at stake in order to get into the good books of Michael Jordan and to convince him and his family to sign with Nike instead of the competitors, the competition. And whether he's successful
Do you
or
typically
not,
make it a habit of showing up at people's front doors unannounced?
I don't like to take no for an
maybe
answer.
I have revealed something about the plot a little bit at the beginning, during the introduction to this video review, because I said that this is a very inspiring film, very inspirational, very uplifting. It keeps you in high spirits, so after that you are motivated just to never surrender, never give up, because this is what life is about. So even if you have mostly down, so there has to be like the bear market, lower parts, yes, when you are at the bottom, you hit rock bottom, and then the bull market. And everything turns out to be just fine. You just need to weather this proverbial storm.
Do you realize that at 18, you have lived only 1/4 of your life? Get some help.
To be honest, people who were not born or they did not live in the 1990s, so they couldn't probably comprehend how big of a star Michael Jordan was at that time. He was everywhere. He was the king of basketball. He was like a mogul of that business.
He puts it up, and it's good! Jordan scrambles. He sinks it in again. Can he fit that Egg McMuffin in his game plan? Yes! Michael Jordan has carried
He was
it
a
off.
role model for kids. he was just one of the best or even the best basketball players at that moment of time, and right now even he is considered one of the greatest ones in basketball. So you cannot possibly comprehend how big he was at that time if you were not born in the 1980s or the 1990s, and if you didn't grow up with that culture. So I was a kid then, so I do remember. That's why Michael Jordan even had his own film, Space Jam, starring the Looney Tunes character like Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck and other ones. So this is how big of a star he was. So even he got to do some acting in Hollywood in a big budget motion picture.
Can I have your gear, John Hancock?
What's going on
But
here?
coming back to from 2023.
This is where you come up with a brilliant idea that no one else can see. Let's hear
I
it.
think that is one of those films which is worth watching and rewatching if you want to be in a good mood, if you want to be full of inspiration, if you want to improve your mood, if you, for example, if you are down on your luck. And it's good to watch this inspirational story, because then you know that everything is possible. Only sky is the limit. So that's why I love those kind of films, those kind of stories. Those kinds of motion pictures, biopics, which are very inspirational, and you aspire to more, to achieving something in your life once you have seen those. And Air is definitely one of those pictures, one of those films. To my surprise, it also, at the time of the premiere, was appreciated by critics and by audience, so it has a very high score, because it's a film of a very high production value. Apart from the plot, apart from whether it's enjoyable or not, whether it's a good experience or not, it's just well made. Many people claim that Ben Affleck is a much better director than an actor, and, well, maybe sometimes it's not difficult to agree with this statement.
This is me content. That's how this is me amused.
And in this case, so he has only a minor part as the CEO of the company, of Nike, but as a director, so really, you can see that he poured a lot of heart, a lot of energy, a lot of soul into this motion picture. So there are great shots. It looks like it was shot in the 1980s or the 1990s, so arguably the two best decades in terms of the Hollywood industry. So he takes his time when the camera pans in, pans out, moves in and out, and shows everything, the scenery.
I'm willing to bet my career on one guy.
Really, it looks like a throwback to the past, to the good old days, when filmmaking was much, much better, if I may say so. And I think that many people agree that there is something magical, and there is this special charm in the 1980s and the 1990s. And it's not only mere nostalgia.
Hey, it's a kind of magic.
Even the beginning of Air is fantastic, because you have some shots, some films, some clips which are made to look old, which are made to look obsolete, so they are from the past, presenting some old commercials, something about Jordan perhaps, I don't remember exactly, but this is stylized to look also like vintage, retro, old-fashioned. And you see that it took a lot of thinking and a lot of heart and energy put into that. And this is great, because you can see this youthful energy, although they are not so young anymore, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, channeled into that passion project, into that pet project of theirs. And it's projected on the viewer. So thanks to that, you are immersed even more into this unusual story. We could also say that the film features an ensemble cast, because apart from Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, we have also Jason Bateman, and there's Chris Tucker. Finally,
What is wrong with Nike?
Nike is a damn jogging company, man. Black people don't jog. You ain't gonna catch no black person running 26 miles for no damn reason.
after another longer break from Hollywood, from starring in films, Chris Tucker is back, and he's as good as ever before. So he's a pure comedy gold. In this case, so it's also a minor role, but he still leaves a mark, and it's a very good performance. All of the performances are great. And you may or you may not like Ben Affleck or Matt Damon. You may say that maybe their range of abilities and skills is limited, but in this case, so it's a perfect match. It's a match made in heaven. So everything comes together and fits together perfectly. The story, the plot, the charm of the film, the energy, the flow, the characters, the performances, the music, and the way it is filmed and presented. So all of this is a perfect combination.
Alright.
And this is what current films should look like. So no stupid CGI, not too much of it at least, and focusing on the story, on the characters, and taking your time. And really, I can't praise this film enough. So I hope that you will have a chance to see it. Unfortunately, it hasn't been released on any physical media, any physical format. There's no DVD release, there's no Blu-ray release, and no 4K either. So it's available only on that platform, on Amazon Prime for now, for the time being. We'll see what happens next. If you do have access to it, so please hesitate no more. Just give it a go.
If I was just a basketball player, can you imagine it? I can.
Because I can guarantee you it's worth watching, especially if you are into this type of genre, but not really. If you are down on your luck, so I think that this is the best remedy, or one of the best remedies, to watch an inspirational film. Just for formality's sake, this review has not been sponsored by anyone, by any company, unfortunately. I wish I was sponsored, but you know, on the other hand, so I'm completely independent and I may say whatever I want, whatever I please to.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
I would really like to express my gratitude to Amazon Prime for having invested into that project, for having believed in that. Because thanks to their support, financial support, Ben Affleck was able to make that film. And hands down, I think it's from out of his recent productions, this is hands down the best one. Really. It deserves all the praise it gets on the internet, from critics, from the audience. It is worth watching. So once again, I would like to thank Amazon Prime for that, for believing into smaller projects. Because the film, probably it wasn't very expensive, but still, it was a risk. And I'm surprised that they decided to release it at the cinemas. But on the other hand, so it's also a good model to give a film a chance to make some more money at the cinema and to become even more popular. But anyhow, so once again, I think that Amazon hit the bullseye, the proverbial bullseye with Air. And that was money well spent, definitely. Unlike many other projects of different platforms, when they just pull one thing after another and their production value is very low, this one was definitely worth the money.
Usually you pay double for that kind of action.
They got their money's worth, and they got their return on investment with this one, with investing into this project, into this pet project of Ben Affleck and Matt Damon working together, cooperating, like in the good old times of Good Will Hunting.
And the Oscar goes to Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
As always, thank you very much for your attention, guys. I hope that you will decide to watch if you have a chance. If you don't have access to this platform, so maybe it's still available at the cinema, but you should definitely give it a go, because Air is worth watching, and Air is definitely one of the best films of the year 2023 so far. I just simply cannot say enough good things about this motion picture. So chapeau bas to Ben Affleck for his magnificent, splendid camera work and how he directed the film, and also props to the cast, to the screenwriter, to all the people involved in it, and also to Amazon for the fact that they did believe in this project and they did put the money out to finance this motion picture. So I hope that you have enjoyed this short review, shorter than usual. Unfortunately, there is nothing connected to Air because I watch it on my laptop, because this is the only way I can access the platform and to watch it, but I don't complain, it's great. And so I still have physical media to watch on a bigger screen, so I can't complain. And also, if you have a chance, so please come back to Space Jam. It's a good old family classic.
Warner Brothers presents Jordan, Bugs Bunny,
Special delivery!
Together, they just might save the world.
Something completely different from her, obviously, but you know, Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes and basketball players in the 1990s, Chicago Bulls, and many Looney Tunes characters like Bugs Bunny working together, playing basketball, so this is incredible. If you haven't seen it, so I envy you.
Yeah.
You kick it in here. You go to the hole and dominate. We on defense.
Experiencing it for the first time, so it must be marvelous. I remember when I was a kid, I was blown away by it. But if you have seen it, so maybe it's just about time to come back to it. Anyhow, thank you once again. Please do your best to watch Air. Really, I don't remember the last time when I was so uplifted by a motion picture. So I think this is the best recommendation. If you are blue, if you are down on your luck, so this is a great recipe, a great solution to be back to your old usual self and to be more cheerful and cheered up by what you have seen. Thank you, Godspeed, and until next time, I'll catch you up later. Cheers.
Their fate hangs on the thumb of our final judge. Thumbs up!
And as usual, his Jean-Claude Van Damme's trademark right there.
And believe me, if you don't use drugs, you can just about be anything you want to be. Listen, you got at least 3/4 of your life to go. That's 3 more lifetimes to you. So don't blow it. Don't do drugs.
So I was a kid then, so I do remember. That's why